Well, when I came to drop the transmission out of my 2014 Clio RS, I couldn't find any instructions about how to get the drive shafts pulled out far enough to extract them from the gearbox, and the suspension setup is very different from the standard Clio in that the shock is inverted, and I found that there was only one bolt clamping it at the bottom rather than the two that's there for the normal Clio. So I was a little bit apprehensive about how to proceed. So here's what I did. Okay, so I freed up the anti-sway bar link that you see there. I undid the tie rod for the steering. I took off the brake calipers and suspended them from the top. At that point, I was unsure how to proceed. So I thought, okay, well, when I drop the hub, it's definitely going to go lower. So I undid the ABS sensor, and then I freed up the hydraulic line from the other end of that clamp, which I'd taken off earlier. And that gave enough pull for the wheel to drop without doing any damage. So the question then was what to do. So I was on the verge of getting a spring compressor and trying to compress the strut enough to do it. But I thought, well, before I spend the money on that, let's undo the one clamping nut that sits at the bottom. Where am I? Hang on, I'm getting there. Up there. Yeah, it goes through the top of the hub and through a single hole on the bottom of the damper. So I undid that one. It was pretty easy, no big struggle at all. It's one advantage of Australian cars, they're not very rusty. Then I lubricated the I don't know what you call it, the hub support at the bottom of the damper, and then I just wiggled it around and worked it down and added more lubricant, and eventually, a bit to my surprise, it popped out of the holder on the top of the wheel hub, and I was then able to, after removing the bolt that held the clamp, that held the ABS and the hydraulics, I was able to pull this damper out and swing the unit of the wheel right out. So that gave me enough play. Then when I went inboard, I discovered there was a bearing support on the right hand drive shaft because it's much longer. I undid that, and then hang on, I'll just crawl underneath. So there's the drive shaft with the gearbox end here and the wheel end over there. I undid the one bolt that holds this bearing support in the middle here. I sort of assumed the bearing prized out, but it actually knocks out very easily towards the wheel. And once that was done, the whole drive shaft dropped enough. I just gave a gentle tug and it extracted itself from the gearbox. So I did much the same on the other side, except it totally lacks that bearing support on the other side. And much the same thing. You have to push down very firmly. Hang on, I'm looking into the sun now. You have to push down very firmly on the hub unit and the brake, and wiggle it around and add more oil and everything before eventually it falls the whole way. It won't fall under its own gravity. You have to push it down. But then it comes right off. The damper pops out of the end, and then you can get the drive shaft out. Actually, I had a little bit of trouble getting that drive shaft out. I'll go around and film from that side. So here's the left-hand hub unit, all nicely apart. It's a hot day today. It's like 31 degrees or something, so I'm trying to work in the shade as much as possible. Anyway, but then when I came to pull the drive shaft from the box, there was enough play, but I couldn't get it to pop out. And then, so what I did was I needed something like a right angle thing that I could put under the end, lever against the casing gently, and pull the transmission end of the drive shaft out. And what I used was this, which is part of a 3-arm puller. So then the hook on the end there, this bit, that bit, can then go under the drive shaft, and then you can lever outwards on the shaft while pulling gently, and pop, comes out. So what I've described here, I was sort of interested in getting the tranny out, but it also provides the majority of a route to changing the shocks. The shocks can be freed up completely at the bottom, disappear up inside the wings. And to get to the top end, you're probably going to want to remove the plastic valance. You'll need to remove the windscreen wipers, the plastic valance, and then you'll be able to get to the 3 nuts that mount the shock at the top.